Hello, this is Dawn McCoy with Flourish Leadership Group, where I help ignite your leadership to the next level. I'm so excited that you've tuned in for another edition of Leadership Reflections. I have a dynamic guest this evening, Michael Scott, who's going to be joining me. Absolutely excited that he will be joining us tonight because he is extraordinary in his own right, in his quest and his accomplishment as a leader among leaders, someone who has been pivotal and dynamic in working with people in the community and around. And I want to make sure that we give him a nice welcome when he arrives. I am going to make sure that we get him situated here. He's just here in the weight room, and make sure that I get everything logistically right. I am delighted that he will be tuning in. Michael Scott is a parent and an educator and someone who is dynamic and being able to be a participant in lots of dialogues in the opportunity. So I have sent Michael an invitation, and hopefully he is joining in. If you can hear me, put a 1 in the comment box just so I can make sure that the sound is working correctly. I believe it is. If you can hear me, just put a 1 in the box there. And I'll want to make sure that we can add in Michael here and have him join in the conversation to talk about his role as being a leader in the community, working with families and others, working in bringing fabulous and dynamic opportunities to bear, and being able to be a resource to parents who are parents of those who are learning, if you will, and those who are parents and coaching, those who get into being into professional sports and high school sports and being actively involved. So we always want to think about how we can get and train and be resources for making sure. So it sounds like you all can hear me. I am just going to get Michael into the guest room here as well. But I wanted to make sure you are tuning in 5 o'clock West Coast time and 8 o'clock East Coast time. And for anyone in London, my goodness, it's almost midnight. So certainly want to be thinking about yourselves getting connected and being able to be that person who's on. And obviously to the replay viewers, thank you for tuning in as well. So we'll get started here shortly and make sure that we are getting the logistics in order. Michael, if you can hear me, see me, I'm going to send you the invite note, and it should be sending you a message that you're going to be getting an invite. If you're there, I think coming into the chat room, just accept that invite. I ignite leaders, but this is an invite to make sure that you're tuning in. To hear about what you do and share in your community. I want folks to get pen and paper to make sure that you are learning and listening and gathering details and particulars to make sure that you're getting everything you need to be equipped with helping to support students and mentors and advocates and those who are in your communities, because we want to make sure we're doing all we can to be resourceful, if you will, in being taking those opportunities to really be forward thinking in what we do. And so want to take that opportunity to do that constantly, to make sure that we are thinking about how we can be mindful and at the same time thoughtful about that, because as leaders we're setting an example for not only other leaders, but we're setting an example for those young people that we work with, and being able to provide a service for them and being able to provide support for them in their opportunities. So Michael, hi there. Glad you're tuning in and joining. How is your sound there? Can you hear me okay?
My sound is good.
Okay, good. And I think I can hear and see you as well. And I think we have a connection, considering we're, not 5,000 miles distance-wise. I believe you're Chesapeake area, Virginia, and wanted to just have you do a self-introduction. Hopefully you could hear me, and as you were in the chat room there, just getting queued up, giving a brief introduction about your support for parents and really students and being an advocate that you've been in the community for so many years. Just tell us a little bit about how you got started in your journey being a dynamic leader and someone who is just an all-around good guy doing the right thing with parents.
Well, I definitely thank you for that, Dawn, and great intro, great opening, and truly appreciate you affording me this time to come on and just share my story and share some information with your listening audience and folks that have been following you as well. Well, how did I get started? Uh, but I'm going to try to share with folks that's watching us this evening something that's a little bit more relatable. Uh, you know, many of us young guys, I call myself young. I like to still call myself young. Um, at one point in time, we had this great ambition to be involved in sports, whether or not it's playing sports or being just a major part of sports. Mm-hmm. And in doing so, we go through our lives and live our dreams out and just don't make it, because of some lack of knowledge, some miscommunication, some bad turns in life, some pitfalls, all those various things that happen to us over the years. So later on, and this is why I bring it a little bit more closer to home. We end up having children, and some of us try to live through our children. Sad to say that happens. But I'm going to talk about some things this evening and hope that that's going to give you a better perspective of why you should not try to follow that path. But at the same time, you should try to enhance your child's ability to do his or her best while involved in sports. So, in having a son, my son is Mike Scott, currently playing with the Washington Wizards. And just to let you know, Dawn, I'm missing a game right now. So that's how important this conversation is.
I understand. Thank you. Yes.
That's how important this conversation is tonight.
It is.
I am missing the game. The game came on at 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
And if I wasn't in the arena, I'm normally stuck in front of the television, talking to the television set. But I said, let me go ahead and support Dawn. And it's funny because you and I met, at an event some years ago, and my son was with me, the very same son that's playing, this evening. Yeah. So, in helping him succeed and reach the level of success that he has reached, I realized that there was a process that families go through. Oftentimes people look at it from the perspective of the children go through it, but it's a family decision. It's something that impacts the family. Right. And being a leader within my own right and in my family, I figured I'm going to do everything in my power to help him succeed and help him have a successful life. So, in doing so, I found out that there were quite a few other parents that didn't get that information, that missed out on opportunities, and started to find out that there's a whole group of young men that miss out on opportunities year after year to go and get that free education. Whether or not they make it onto the professional ranks, that free education is the plus. So, in doing so, the formation of the Parents Coaching Parents Network came about. It came about right on the shoulders of me attending the very first Power Networking Conference. And it was funny how the two tied in together, along with me attending the Power Networking Conference and having an opportunity. He had an opportunity to attend the NBA Top 100 camp, and they had a similar program. And I kind of sort of tied the two together and realized that we can make something happen here, or this can be something great for all. So as a result, the Parent Coaching Parents Network was formed back in 2006, 2007, 2008 timeframe, and here we are moving along.
Yeah, you've been really humming along then, and that's wonderful because you've been able to build a network of parents, be an advocate at the same time, and be a dad, and then be also out in the community. Talk a little bit about that. How do you go about working and training and supporting the parents? Do you have a formal program? You go on the road. You have obviously you do a lot of talking. I know of that, and I think that's extraordinary. So, is it received in different ways as well?
Well, the program actually consists of just helping parents have a better understanding of the recruiting process.
That's super.
That's the primary focus of the program. But we have ventured out to do various other things, such as work with parents that have kids that's in elementary school, work with parents that have professional kids, and just share some of the things that as they come along, as I grow, I'm learning from some of them, and at the same time, that next generation that comes along, they're learning from things that I have to share with them. We go out and we speak in various venues. I spoke to college students, and I spoke at basketball and football camps, and did a series of workshops that I do at least twice a year, just to give the parents a better understanding, again, of the recruiting process and how to help their child succeed. One of the thoughts that I try to operate under, and I try to share with all my parents, to make sure that they understand we as parents must be our child's biggest advocate. We must be our child's biggest advocate. That's not an optional thing. That's not something that we can sit back and just say, okay, it's going to pull the pieces together by itself. We must be our child's biggest advocate. And then saying that, one thing I tell parents in the workshops, I tell them, I say, you're your child's very first agent. You are your child's very first agent. Now, if you decide to go out and hire so-and-so or whomever, then that's on you. But right now, here, today, you are that very first agent. So in order to be a successful agent, you must understand the language. You must be able to communicate. You must be able to develop that teamwork and that camaraderie between you and your child before they get out and get involved with other folks that's out there that's trying to persuade them to go here or go there, so on and so forth.
Makes sense. And that's pivotal because I think often people think just let whatever happens happen, right? And they may think they'll just let it unfold, or they'll be in good hands somewhere else. But you make a really good point about knowing the language and being able to speak that language and get them in or whatever.
You still there?
At whatever. That we do that. Talk a little bit about maybe an aha moment. Did you have an aha moment, like when you realized, you were your son's advocate, you were the one, you birthed the parent coaching network. You decided that was something. Even as you started the Mike Scott the tip off, the classic, the basketball classic. Talk about maybe that. Were there aha moments that you've had on this leadership journey?
Well, the aha moment came about when the very first thought of creating the Parents Coach Parents Network. I was sitting down and I was talking with an athletic director or one of the school officials. I was talking to one of the school officials. I forgot exactly who it was at the time, but I was talking to the individual, and we got into a conversation on, who's going to educate all these children on the process? Who's going to educate the parents on the process?
Right.
You have kids involved in sports and, multiple sports at high school, and, we talk about everything from a JV program to a varsity program, and in some cases they even have freshman programs. But from the time that they get involved in that program, there should be an additional process for the parents to start learning how to best support their child in that program.
Yeah.
My aha moment came about when that school official told me, well, everybody may not have the opportunity to attend the same level of school that your son may have.
Mm.
And I had to scratch my head.
Mm.
I put a little thought on it, wiped my face. I looked around the room because I had to say to myself, he didn't just say that to me.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't just tell me that he's not concerned about the other children. And he's only concerned with my son because he believes my son has the opportunity to go on and do bigger and better things. So I said, aha.
Mm-hmm.
this is the way this is going to go.
That's right.
So that forced me to start looking into books and start talking with folks that was connected at the NCAA level and just getting information from them, and found out that there was a wealth of information that's out there that only thing you need to do is dig into it.
That's great.
And then once I dug into it, I started sharing with other parents.
That's awesome. And that's so timely because, like you said, we had met at a conference some years ago, and since then, lightning speed, just on a whole another trajectory, like you said, of just saying, what do you need to do to get out there and help? And you did it. You just said, aha, okay. That is awesome.
That's so true. That's so true.
You have done such a yeoman's job. Talk a little bit about what's next for Mike Scott. What's next on your leadership journey? Where do you see this effort and you 10 years in the future, 20 years? Are you going to replicate, duplicate, international? What's sort of the picture? And even if it's staying where you are, or to do what? Yeah.
Well, what's next? Once we fine tune and tweak, because it takes a while to go through your highs and your lows and your good and bad times, and you think everything's going to crash and burn at some point in time, but you realize that you have to stick with it. And once we have the opportunity to fine tune the program and the concept of the program, then the next thing I can see is developing chapters. And if we have to drop a chapter in all 50 states, that's where I'm going.
Hey, all right.
And if not able to put a chapter in all 50 states, then working with someone that's already in that state that's doing a like-minded chapter or a like-minded program, and supporting them in their endeavors and making sure that they understand that the Parents Coach Parents Network is behind them to ensure that our children get the best of the situation.
Absolutely.
One thing that I think about, Dawn, and even more so today than a couple years ago, the recent situation where all these allegations are going on and the FBI probes and investigation that's currently happening, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Now, could any of that have been avoided? Could any of that have been less harmful to the parents and the child, the athlete? There's so many things that probably could have happened. But I think a lot of that starts with the lack of knowledge that parents have when they're going through the process. Because oftentimes, if they don't know, they get their information from the first person that comes along that has a very smooth song and decide to talk them into either signing with this school or playing on this particular team, or this person becomes a good friend with your child. As a result, they're being steered this way or they're being steered that way. you
Right.
know, and our kids fall into a situation where, you know, they think that this person's their friend.
Mm-hmm.
So the person has now befriended them. And as a result, they're taking advice from this person.
Mm-hmm.
And because the parents don't know the process,
Right.
don't know the language, don't know how to properly communicate with their child, to let
Right.
them know, hey, I understand this. I
Right.
got this. We're
Sure.
going to make this happen, not just for you, but for the family as a whole.
Right.
They rely on somebody else.
Oh.
Some guy that they may have just met 2 or 3 months ago when
Mm.
they was forming this AAU team or this 7-on-7 football team or whatever it was, showcase baseball squad or whatever. Some person that just came into this child's life
Mm-hmm.
now because this child believes
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that I haven't seen too many she's involved in the program, but I think that may be the next thing that'll come along.
Mm-hmm.
He is looking out, the child believes that he is looking out for his or her best interest. And as a result, put all the trust and confidence in this person.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
parents' education is a must, is a plus, and if we can get a chapter in all 50 states, that's going to be one thing that we will definitely take on head first.
I'm excited about this. Just so many levels of how you've been engaged with community and parents, training, development, support, leadership. I mean, it's bar. You just like boom, boom, boom. It's great. I'm excited about it because I think that there is so much opportunity, and already what you've done to lay a foundation. That's why I said I was like, wow, Mike Scott doing real big things. Really helping families structure, and then to understand, as you say, that system. It's so complicated, and then knowing who to trust and how in the community. I mean, it's just really, really phenomenal to hear. Tell me real fast. I want to make sure our viewers know how to get in touch with you and how can they follow up with you if interested? You have some contact information or otherwise that you'd like to leave?
Well, always you can find me here on Facebook at Michael H. Scott, or you can also check out our Facebook page at Parents Coach to Parents Network. If you're looking for us on Instagram or Twitter, we're at PCP Network, and that's kind of like the short name. Just go out there and Google it, and definitely my ugly mug may pull up, or something along those lines. We'll pull up the Parents Coach to Parents Network, and we also have a podcast that we do on Blog Talk Radio, again, under the name of Parents Coach to Parents Network, or you can actually put in PCP Network and the same thing will pull up.
That is
Find us at any time and ask any question. Reach out to us. We'd be more than happy to get back to you as soon as we can. If you want us to come out and provide, just a little workshop or just do a brief presentation, again, you can find me on Parents Coach to Parents Network Facebook page, or our website will probably be going live within the next couple months or so.
awesome.
Because we're working on some redevelopment and a new look. So hopefully we'll come out bigger and better and stronger, because we have a few more things that we want to add to the website as far as the Tip-Off Classic. That's going to be listed on there, and some great information, with the American Cancer Society and Coaches versus Cancer, the Tip-Off Classic that my son has been sponsoring over the last 6 years. And actually, he's getting ready to do a free camp here in the Hampton Roads area this coming summer. We're looking at a couple dates. I think it's going to be either late July or early August. That time, once we get that validated and solidified, we'll be putting that information up on our Facebook page, pumping it out on Twitter and Instagram as well. And then once we get that done, and we're moving on to doing more Blog Talk Radio, bringing in some more special guests, and just continuing on the journey, making sure that folks understand how they can be involved and should be involved in the program. On top of that, I just recently started another elementary school program. Oh, I didn't start it. The program already existed. I just kind of like jumped in there and formed a chapter. And this program goes under the leadership of the great coach, legendary coach Tony Dungy, called All Pro Dads. And again, sharing some of the same foundation principles that we have with the Parents Coach to Parents Network. Making sure that dads are involved in the process. Dads are involved with their children going through the elementary schools. And then if they're involved in sports, then we can roll them right on over to the Parents Coach to Parents Network and continue the journey.
This is exciting. What a journey and what a story and what leadership. I can't add anything to that. I'm just so grateful you parted with Game Time to join tonight to share with listeners, because you have such a phenomenal foundation and already a steam-rolling machine, if you will, that I'm always excited to hear about. I tell you, I thought I was ready to jump out there too. I'm like, okay, all right, let's go. You know,
come on. We can always use your great expertise and your leadership skills.
Bookworm. Yeah. But I'm just telling you, I appreciate this opportunity to talk with you and to share out this message, because it is, like I say, so many ways, dynamic and phenomenal, reaching out to parents and families, our communities, that, my goodness, such an opportunity to reach out. So thank you again, Michael, for tuning in and for being a guest, for accepting the invitation, as well as being able to share about all you're doing, because I just think it is just a phenomenal undertaking, but also how you have really made a name for yourself in helping parents and families in general. So grateful for your being here.
All right. For whatever reason, the volume went down, and I'm trying to.
Oh. Well, I'm not sure the volume went down. I was just wrapping up here and just ready to kind of have the show wrap up, in the sense of saying to our viewers to tune in.
I can hear you.
You can hear me now? Okay. And then also just, that we'll make sure to circulate this message out, because it's timely and an opportunity, especially because as we're going into this sort of the time of the academic year, of course, where a lot of young people are either being picked up or following up or responding to letters. So what a great time of year to really get this message out as well. And so thank you for always being part of our leadership discussions. I know we have some dialogues on that front, and so this is just another layer of that.
Hey, we truly appreciate it, and it's great that we finally got a chance to get together and do this. We talked about it a few months ago, and we played around with trying to do this whole Facebook Live thing, and thank you to your great leadership in itself, to just think about this, just to have the vision to put something like this together, and continue to do the great work that you're doing, Dawn.
Well, thank you so much, Michael. And for this being Black History Month, and to celebrate African-American men like yourself doing phenomenal things in the community, your leadership, a testament. Again, Michael H. Scott, thank you so much with the work you're doing. Thank you, viewers, for tuning in. Tune in next week for Leadership Reflections. That's 8 p.m. Eastern. I'll make sure to distinguish and bring everybody on at the same time: East Coast, West Coast, London time, Hawaii time. But until we meet again, certainly be enlightened, be enriched, be empowered. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michael.